There we go. I thought we
Oh,
might.
that's it. Yeah, you were
I,
speaking
I
for
thought
yourself.
thought we might try the session with the lip reading sort of sync.
Okay, we could try that. I'll start talking. No.
Yeah,
How are you, my friend?
mate, I am very good, very good. It's been a incredibly busy day, so I just realised what the time was and just made it here.
Oh, it's okay. We just finished the other one literally 1 minute before yours, so it's kind of worked
Oh,
out
okay.
well in the end.
Perfect, perfect.
Yes, you'll be meeting him too when we meet in Queensland in the next week or two. So yes, he's another sovereign individual that you'll find very fascinating up your
Oh,
way.
excellent, excellent.
Yes, well, look, you're a bit of a hit last week, Nick. You're kind of a bit of a Taylor Swift in this space now. The whole.
Well, mate, I always like a good song and a dance.
Yeah, maybe not as good looking as there, but
Yeah.
you're okay.
Oh no, look, I'd have to disagree.
Yeah, fair, probably true.
Yeah.
You know, the age of wisdom and the maturity. I mean, I think we could beat her. So
Well, I think the good thing about being blokes our age is that we only get better looking the older we get.
yeah, men are like wine, aren't we? We mature with age.
That's right. Yes.
The funny thing is, though, I did say this to someone. I said, when you're a guy and you're young, you just have a lot less hang-ups when you're older. You just kind of realize that a lot of the fads and extreme things that you do in sovereignty, like I'm sure the kind of stuff you were doing 20 years ago in your journey is very different to now. You just learn wisdom with the years, don't you?
Oh, look, I'd probably wouldn't sort of stress so much about it these days. I'd have a lot more laughs with it and have a lot more fun with the people that I was playing with because that was all I was doing was playing with them anyway.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like I can remember when I was in court that time I told you about when I in Queensland, and you could just see the cops thought I was a bit of an idiot. There's about five of them, and I just played along with them. I said, "Yeah, look, hopefully I'll do okay." I just kind of played along with them a bit, and they afterwards they had a bit of a laugh. They said, "You certainly got us on that one. We thought you had no idea what you were doing."
I sort of love doing that sort of thing there. If people underestimate you, I think that's a good thing. But the problem with being younger is that you try and sort of boost yourself up so that people overestimate you. But the older we get, underestimation's the way to go.
Yeah, well, funny enough, in COVID, I did it especially. If you behave like you're a bit silly and scared of the need of needles, I mean, one of my favorite thing, I just tell people I'm scared of needles, and I mean, what can you say to that? And it's like, but what do you mean? I said, I'm just petrified of a needle. I just can't cope with the thought of having one. And you can just see it just sounded so ridiculously stupid. People were like, oh, he's clearly a bit of a.
But if they can't work you out, it's like they stand back or, it's just like, no, this is too much for me.
Yeah, I found that as soon as they got the idea that you were smart and knew what they were doing, they'd throw all guns blazing at you.
That's
And so
right.
because once you declare yourself to your master, you get crucified. It's like once you get up and say, "Hey, I'm a guru," next minute like Jesus found out, you get crucified for your trouble. So
Well, I've always gone with the philosophy. It's far better to be the court jester so that people don't realize you're making fun of them.
that's yeah. You realize without probably knowing this that you're actually quoting one of the great sages. He said the wiser a sage gets, the more of a fool he becomes.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm 100% with that. That's why the people that I admire the most are the people like Robin Williams and Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
They're very clever people, but they don't come across that way.
Well, it's kind of like you learn a lot of stuff by not judging people by what your projections are. And like for example, I've got a friend who's a stripper. That's her main job.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when I was hanging out with her the other day, she just said to me, she has like the most brilliant knowledge of manifestation and intuition. She said, "Well, when you're sitting in strip clubs and you're trying to read men, you got to get very good at it." And then she said, "And I've learned to manifest and all that kind of stuff." And so she said, "Yeah, I just project how much money I want to make that night. I create an intention. I read the energy of the room. I get a sense as to which men look there, which are the decent ones. I go and talk to them." And she said, "Yeah, and I usually get what I'm wanting."
Yep, 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 yep. Well, actually, that's quite right because I know when I've been on stage, one of the things that you can do on stage is you can create waves with the audience. So you can take them to whatever emotional state that you want, just by sort of changing who you are on stage. So yeah, it's pretty amazing, really. And Rowan Atkinson, yes, he'd been in the three as well too.
Oh, Rowan Atkinson, yeah, Mr. Bean. I love his stuff.
Yep, yep.
Yes, I used to watch all this stuff. In fact, years ago on a Comedy Quest, I did a Rowan Atkinson impersonation, which went down very well. So,
well, actually, the other one that's good too is Ricky Gervais. He just doesn't give a fuck. It's like, if it offends people, it's like, comedy's meant to offend people, and but he said, I don't care.
yeah, well, I remember on a Facebook post, there was someone said, "Who's your favorite comedian?" And people putting all different people's, and I put Joe Biden, and that got a lot of likes. But Trump, this is what I say. When people say, "What do you think of Trump?" I said, he just makes me laugh. I said, you can just see he's just shit stirring everyone, and he just likes to kind of push the button.
Yes, yeah, oh yes, yep.
Basil Fawlty, Tony says, yeah, Fawlty Tower, yeah,
yep.
Monty Python, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, in fact, I've been watching Monty Python again, much to the cringe factor of my partner, who she's just, why would you ever like that?
Oh, it's a quiet taste, and I love Monty Python.
Oh yes, yeah, that's where it all started for me.
Yeah, no, it gives you a good laugh. I mean, which one did you watch? Holy Grail? It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I was just rewatching that the other day.
Yeah. No, just a flesh wound. Yeah. Yeah, that was terrible. Yeah, Life of Brian and The Cheese Shop was the other ones I liked. The meaning of life, and or the Flying Circus when they had the cheese shop on Mount Everest. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah, vaguely. I can't remember how it goes, that one.
Yeah, no, basically there's some mountain climbers who are on Mount Everest, and there's a cheese shop right in the middle, like the middle of nowhere, and they go in and ask what kind of cheese you have, and he said, "Oh, all cheeses." They asked, "Do you have cheddar?" "No, sorry, we've run out." And then every cheese they mentioned, they didn't have any cheese, and yeah. No, it's good to have fun. Well, I mean, today I really wanted to get you to share a bit more. Last week we shared a lot more, bit of fun and lawful rights and sovereignty. Maybe share today. I'm really interested to know more, because this is a part of your life I don't know as much about how that sovereignty is translated into you creating income and being an entrepreneur. Because no doubt learning that way to push back and be empowered and strong has helped you become an entrepreneur, not be afraid to push back, get out there and create income streams. So maybe I'd love to hear some of your wisdom, and everyone here, especially we're going to be doing an event, as we know, in 10 days' time, and giving people a sneak preview.
Yeah, for sure. Where do you start? There's so much stuff. In fact, today is probably a really good day to talk about it, because I've got a product. I came across a organization over in the States. They put together digital product bundles, and I just happened to have a webinar that I recorded. It must have been three or 4 years ago. And it was called how to turn an idea into cash in 7 days. So I ran this webinar. I had no idea sort of how to work it. I thought, oh, this sounds like a good concept. And so I ran the webinar, but I did it with to get results. And it was a half-day webinar. And it was really designed around sort of, I suppose, taking imperfect action from the point of view that often people have ideas for products and what they want to do, but most of the time they're rubbish. They'll never fly at all. So I put the program together to work out a process and procedure for people to put together a product from their idea, or
keep
at least
talking, back in 10 seconds. Back in 10 seconds, but keep talking. Keep talking.
Okay. Yep. So putting together an idea there, and then actually sell the idea before they create a product, and to do it in 7 days. So I knew that if people could do that in 7 days, then they've got a product which is worth pursuing, and it's going to be viable. So the interesting thing is that one of the chaps that was on there came back to me 7 days later, and he said, "I can't believe it." He said, "I've made a sale." He said, "People have bought this product." and it was a really simple thing. It was just a one-page document which he created on Canva. It solved a particular issue, and but he sold it. But he came back to me 2 years later, and he said, I just ran into him again, and he said, you know, that product that we did. He said, I keep selling this product day in, day out. He said, it's not my main thing, but, you know, and he's selling for something like $47 or something like that there. So it's not a lot of money, but he said, I just keep selling this product, and it becomes a lead generator for the coaching that he provides. So he's a men's coach. He deals with particularly men that are sort of have got anger issues. But he said, you know, this product here is just turned into, you know, one of his biggest income generators, not from the product itself, but from the people that he gets in. So yeah, similar to Live Your Message, that's Marissa Murgatroyd, very sort of similar sort of process as well too. So that particular product, I recorded that. It was on Zoom. I recorded it, and I turned it into a product on my website. So people can go to my website and they can go buy that product. And I've cut it up into a series of modules, and I've got a lot of templates and downloadable documents that I've put with it. So people can buy that off the website, and I sell that for $247 off the website. And but I came across a guy who does these things called product bundles. And what he does is he grabs about sort of 20 odd digital creators, and he'll bundle together their products, and then we'll sell them as one package. So he'll sell the whole product bundle for $47. So that's what he's got out there at the moment. And this particular product is one of the products that's in the product bundle. So I get nothing off the sale. Not a bean, not a sausage off the sale. I do promote it out to my database. So that's one of the things that I need to do. So I've got, 2 weeks worth of emails that go out to my database for this whole product bundle. Any that I sell, that come off my database, I get it's 30% commission on the sale of the product. So, but again, if I make, I don't know, 100 sales out of that, what's that? 30% of 47. My maths is not very good, so let's just call it, say, $15 a piece, or $10, probably close to $10 or $12 a piece. So it's not going to make me rich or wealthy overnight, but what it will do is everybody that buys this bundle, this package, they end up as clients of mine because they sign into my membership portal. To sign in, they give me their name, their email address. That goes into my database, and now I've got a sort of a lead there, which I can now sort of talk to about other products and services I sell. What's my website? It is. Can I tell them my website, or shall I keep that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It's SmashGo. I'll put it in chat as well too. So smashgo.co. And so that was what did it take me to create that product? It probably took me, just thinking, when I created that product, I spent probably half a day putting that together. So that was half a day of putting together some slides. There weren't a lot of slides, and creating some templates around it, and creating not creating the process, but putting into a documented system the process that I use to do research to create this for myself. So there's a process that I use. So all I've done is taken my knowledge, put into a process, taught people how to use it. Teaching them how to use it on Zoom has now created a product for me, which I can use in any way I wish.
Okay, this is good. No, it's very similar to what I do. Like, I mean, I've done a similar thing. I found you can often build networks together. One of the beauties of being sovereign, but building networks and connections is that, and growing your network. And that was how I got my online profile started. I mean, when I first did it, I was a bit vulnerable because I had a business that very much relied on offline marketing and offline business about 12 years ago.
Yep.
And I remember, fortunately, I had a friend who said, well, I'm part of a network of online entrepreneurs. How would you like to join in? So the idea is that all your clients are available to them and vice versa. And we just invite each other to do webinars together. And there was 8 of us, and we would just do that. Any webinar, we would invite each other to do it. And all of us grew our client list quite massively just from doing that. And then like you said, from there, doing deals with people, you know, like with Trent Chapman, for example, who I spoke with before. I mean, Trent and I do a lot of stuff together. If you know, he sends people to me, he gets something. If I send people to him, he gets something. It's kind of, and it's a great way to do business where you share the wealth together with other people.
Well, I think that that's the best way to do business. Like I meet businesses that spend thousands of dollars on Google ads or Facebook ads, and often it just doesn't get them the results that they need. But the best ones that I've ever had are these collaborative things. And I try and get myself onto at least 2 podcasts a month as a guest on a podcast. There is no better way because you know, when you get on someone else's podcast, it's almost like they're endorsing you. And so you're riding on their credibility and they're introducing you to their audience. So I don't have to find all those people. They're already there and there'll be people there that are interested. And I always get clients and customers and leads out of, you know, just out of podcasts. And the good thing about podcasts is they keep on going. So they're up on Spotify or iTunes or, you know, all those podcast networks. And so there are people going there all the time. And so, you know, the leads never really dry up.
Yeah, I found too, just by getting out there and doing that, or just by serving, you know, getting out there and doing stuff and giving people access to education and, you know, knowledge and learning. Yeah, it's a law of service. It was a mentor once told me, he said, the more you're willing to serve, the more income you will make and the more value you add. An example he gave was, he said, even if you don't like him, you can't deny the fact, you know, that, you know, Bill Gates or whatever else, you know, basically with Bill Gates, he, yeah, basically, but he does serve the world quite heavily.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really about, well, if you look at say someone like Bill Gates, he found a problem, and it was quite a massive problem. So that's one of the things that I look for are problems that are quite deep problems, and people have got quite a bit of pain associated with those problems. So, you know, so the likes of Bill Gates, the big problem he was solving was when he started Microsoft was scheduling teachers and students into classes. So that was a major issue there, because you can imagine with a couple of hundred sort of teachers and maybe a few thousand students, trying to get it all matched up so that everyone got what they wanted was a real mission. So all he did was to create a solution around that there, and that saved thousands of hours and thousands of dollars in that whole process. So and what he charged them was just a fraction of it. So if you can find those pain points, then and people's have got a willingness and a desire to solve it, and they've got the ability to pay, that's where you sort of really make the money. And one of the things I found too is that it's often people talk about their passion and trying to make a business out of their passion. Only problem is passions don't really pay. So so I might have a passion for pizza, for instance. So and that passion might involve eating pizza. Well, there are not many people out there who are going to indulge me in my passion and pay me to watch me eat pizza and sit on the couch while I get fat. So that might be your passion, but people are not going to pay you for the passion, but they will pay you for sort of a particular pain or an issue they've got. So I think sort of chasing passion is the wrong way to go. You need to have passion with what you're doing, but chasing your passion is the wrong way to create a business. But if you create a business around pain, then that's something that really is going to pay. Now, I'll give an example of that. I had a guy, a friend of mine, or he became a friend. He used to service all of our computers. So these were in the days before the cloud, where we had a full infrastructure in our office. And so we had servers and computers in our office. We were connecting by laptops. So I had about 20 odd brokers working for me when I had my mortgage broking company. And they would connect in remotely. And so virtually we were running what they call today a cloud, but we were running it in our premises. So the only difference was we owned our computers as opposed to Bill Gates owning the computers. But he said that his biggest problem was that people were not willing to put their hands in their pockets to pay for, you know, sort of malware, what do you call it, sort of preventing cyber attacks and malware and viruses and that sort of thing there. But they weren't willing to put their hands in their pockets to prevent it. But as soon as they'd been hit and attacked, then they're willing to pay double, if not triple, to solve the issue that's created. And then they would pay a monthly subscription to to ensure that didn't happen again. So what he learned with that there was that unless people have a reasonable amount of pain, they're generally not going to pay to for the solutions that you've got. So don't chase aspirations and passion. Just look for where people are in pain.
Oh, okay. That's actually, yeah, that's what I learned a lot about solving a real pain problem. And like a lot of, because people at the end of the day don't always buy to get inspired. They buy more to solve an immediate pain, And I do agree. Your analogy was a little bit better about the pizza. One of my mentors was much more worse. He said in a big seminar in front of 500 people, he goes, I'm a dirty old guy. I love to lie on the beach and stare at beautiful women in bikinis, but there's no one who'll pay me for that. So he said, I don't think I've ever heard an audience laugh so much because the way he just put it. But
actually, I might swap my pizza story for that one. I like that one a lot better.
Mind you, OnlyFans girls will tell you something different. But anyway.
Yeah, but she's making money by being watched. She's not doing the watching.
No, exactly. Yeah, women have a good run with that one.
Yeah.
But no, it's actually really good what you're saying, Nick, because I think that part of sovereignty, there's a balance. I mean, you want to enjoy your work. It's really, really important to love what you're doing. But in saying that, you can often reframe and find love in what you're doing. Like I had a lot of conflict about, because I'm really into sort of more esoteric, spiritual, lawful rights, sovereignty, common law. And of course, I used to think, but what I found, for example, is one of my best skill sets is helping people do that in a practical way and restructuring their affairs. And I mean, there was a time I thought, I don't want to do this anymore. And I started to pull back from it. But eventually I realized that in actual fact, no, I found a way to love doing it because I realized that number one, if I focus on mainly setting up foundations and philanthropic works with people and sovereignty kind of structuring, and then kind of using other structuring, more working with other accountants and that and being outside of it, ultimately many clients end up going more into a path of, learning sovereignty and doing the lawful rights and doing the spiritual stuff I'm more into. So in the end, I found that there's a way you can often do that. Like you said, you find something that really gives value to people.
Oh, absolutely. And I resonate with what you're talking about pulling back, because I know that when I moved from New Zealand to Australia, I really pulled back on, being confrontational. So yeah. I was reasonably confrontational in New Zealand, with the tax department. And I suppose probably confrontational is not the word, maybe aggressively pursuing what I believed. And aggressively pursuing, personal sovereignty. But coming to Australia, like that's got its cost in the sense of, like, I was running a business at the same time, but the cost of it is the time that you have to put into it. Now, the time that I put into it was good from the point of view of I learned a whole heap of stuff. So from my education point of view, it was really good. I was running seminars on it as well too. But what I did find was that there were people that used to come to court with me. Well, they'd sit in the public gallery, but they would only ever sit in the public gallery. There weren't many that would actually, go down the path that I went down and, ask the questions or some of those hard questions that I asked. So what they were waiting for is for me to get the win, and then they would come in and ask the one and do something similar because there's a precedent in place. So what I learned was you don't always want to be the person that is at the pointy end of the spear. So sometimes it's good to be a little further back in that spear. And so when I came to Australia, I pulled back from that, aggressively pursuing it, and looked at other ways of how can I actually just live my life as a free individual, because that's ultimately what I wanted, is to have the freedom without sort of the obligations and harassment that typically we just accept as society or as people without question. So I think, with the education that self-education I had when I came over here, I was able to set up a business which gave me that freedom. And I made one choice when I came over here. I didn't want a large organization again, with 25 odd staff and all the overheads that go with it. I mean, you'll know what that's like. Because what I found out was that I could run a business myself, fairly lean business, and actually make more money. Well, I wouldn't make more money, but I'd take home more money than I would take home sort of running a larger business. And so that's really what I aim to do. So I had one objective, and that was to work from a laptop and at a cafe, because I enjoy drinking coffee, and to make money sort of online. So that was my path when I came to Australia, and that was really where I started in this really sort of solidly in the digital environment. But I spent like I work for timeshare over here, so which was probably the worst job that I've ever had in my life. And it was on the telephone. I tried to get a timeshare job that was face to face where I could talk to people, but I didn't get that. I got one on the phones, hated it on the phones. But the one thing I loved about that job was it started at 10 o'clock. And I used to turn up at the cafe down below at 6 o'clock, and from 6 till 10, that was where I learnt web coding and learnt about digital marketing. And I sort of invested a good 6 months learning that, which gave me the path that I'm on right now. So I think, that education is absolutely critical.
Nah, it's good. Really, really good. So really, it's just like you said, finding a different way to do it and finding a way to get grounded, because really it's like getting grounded. Because like you said, when you can go on a sovereignty rush, it can be quite exciting. But after a while, you kind of go, there has to be a better way than doing this,
Well, when you get bailiffs knocking on your door and sort of, wanting to take your car and, all those sort of things, it's like the heart rate just sort of gets up a bit too high. So it was probably a recipe for a heart attack and for hypertension. And I decided I just didn't want to go around looking over my shoulder all the time. And not that I've done anything wrong, but you always just look over your shoulder because you're expecting sort of the attack, I suppose. So it's a bit like going through the African Sahara and always looking out for the lions that are coming out of the bushes. So I sort of wanted a better lifestyle to live than that.
Yeah, but you almost start living like a PTSD sufferer,
Pretty much. Yes.
Fight, flight, adrenals, cortisol. Yeah.
Yeah. But it can be fun as well too. It's like
absolutely.
And I think when I came over here, it was all about how can I make life enjoyable? How can I have the freedom? One of my top values is freedom. How can I have the personal freedom that I want? Without impinging on the rights of others, or and without being sort of curtailed in what I do. So someone brought up a question there about a company there at ASIC, which has got the same name as mine. It's not my company, and I've got things structured in quite a different way to ensure that I've got the freedom that I need to be able to operate anywhere in the world.
Yeah, right. It's good, isn't it? Like that. So maybe from here, probably the next thing is just, anyone got any questions while I'm asking Nik next? So what would be your kind of tips for people in finding ways to really get sovereignty in their income, Nik? Be a sovereign entrepreneur. Like, what would be your tips you give people?
Well, I think the first thing is that people often spend their time chasing money. And that's a mistake. I think what is more valuable is chasing knowledge and skill, particularly skill. Because once you've got some knowledge and skill, now you've got an asset that you can do something with. So there are other people that want to learn it. So in the digital world, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that you can do, in business. I like products that don't require holding any inventory. And products that I can operate from anywhere in the world. So for me, information products have been, my go-to, or digital products have been my go-to. So, and the good thing about digital products is that there are a lot of people out there who want what I've got, but don't know how to do it. So, so was it just a couple of weeks ago, I ran a live workshop, and it was all on websites. Most people, when they've got a website or build websites, they're generally ineffective. Because they're built to look good, but they're not built as marketing vehicles, or they're not really sort of built to actually generate leads and that sort of do the job that it's supposed to do. So
Yeah.
As a web developer, one of the biggest jokes that web developers have is that the most common thing that clients say when they look at a website that's been built is, "Can you make my logo bigger?" And where it's like, no one cares about your logo. In fact, what we should be doing is making the logo smaller. What they care about is, what's the pain that you solve? What's the biggest issue that you solve for them? And are you communicating sort of in a way that they have confidence that you've got something that they want? So I ran a live session on this, and all I did was I ran through all of the critical elements you need in a website. I think I ran through about 27. And there's one guy that was there, and I saw him writing notes all the way through. And at the end of it, he says, I've had my website built, and he says, none of these things that I've written down and you've told me, none of those are in my website. He said, I'm not getting any business of it. He said, I'm spending all this money to this web developer to maintain it. I don't think he's doing anything with it at all. And because he says, I'm getting no leads, I'm getting nothing off this thing. And I said, well, that's probably why. If you just sort of work through some of these items here, then that should start to get you some traction. But anyway, he comes back to me a week later, and he says, what would it cost me for you to do all of these things so my website's actually working? So when you've got information and skills, you can create it into a product where you can solve a particular issue and pain for people. Now, he's selling a very expensive product. It's real estate, like investment properties. So it is quite an expensive property. So, and he only needs one lead off that converts in a year for it to more than pay for what he's paying for and for the website and the marketing. But he knows he can do so much more. But by me delivering a seminar where I'm talking about the information that I know, without necessarily telling them how to do it, it was giving them what they need to do without telling them how to do it. He's come back to me and said, well, how much do I have to pay you to do it? So that's really what you want with the products and services that you're selling. People coming to you saying, how much is it going to cost me for you to solve it?
Yeah, I love it. So you help people solve website stuff. That's been the gift you've done to make it more converting.
Oh, I've done that for years and years. So that's been my bread and butter. But
I totally agree with everything you're saying, by the way.
Yeah. But if you take it a step further, so you think about that that seminar that I ran, 27 points. What else could we do with that? So the one thing that I'm now doing is converting all of those 27 points into short 5-minute videos, which becomes a mini course on the website. We put it up on YouTube. We put it out on socials, because I know that this works now, because he's come through and asked, how can I spend my money with you? So now if I can get it out to more people in a good consumable format, then I'll get more people coming back and saying, how can I spend money with you?
Yeah.
And that's a much better path to go than running ads and trying to chase people down and sell people.
You are like speaking my heart language, because this is exactly what I've learned. I hate doing ads, because the problem with ads, you're starting from literally from the ground door. You're trying to convince people. So and people are getting so hit by ads now. You got to be really fucking good for people to even follow your ad. Whereas I just got back to basics. Like, you just get out there, you solve problems, you give really good information, you teach people your best stuff. You don't sit there and try and avoid. And all my marketing people used to always tell me, oh, Warren, don't give so much away. You want to kind of leave some things in the closet. And I said, look, if people are smart enough to take what I teach them and do it themselves, then they're better than me. They're remarkable individuals and they deserve it. I said, the reality is, if I teach freely, about probably 99 out of 100 people go, okay, we need some help to do all that. And they'll come back to me because I freely gave. That's always been my argument. It's worked for me.
That is 100% right. Because you know the stupidest thing that I hear is digital marketers. It's like people who are selling services or ads and things. They say, don't give away your best stuff. And I'm thinking, what? Like, you give them your worst stuff? It's like, if you give them their worst stuff, there's no incentive for them to come and get your best stuff because they've got no idea what you do. But if you give out your best stuff, then what people naturally think is they think, oh, well, if he's done all that there, if he knows all that there, what is it that he hasn't told me? Or what else has he got in behind it? And you could have given your absolute best stuff, and they are more likely to buy off you because they think you've got a whole lot more than if you give them your worst stuff and hold back the best stuff because they've got no idea how good you are. So you've got to prove yourself out there. It's like, it's not the clients proving themselves or the prospects, it's you proving yourself that you know what you're doing. And here's the weird thing about it as well too. You can give out that best stuff and you can do it for free, and people will come back and pay you for exactly the same stuff. And people look at me and scratch their heads and say, well, how does that work? And how that works is, like, I put all my stuff up on YouTube. If you want to go and find my stuff, go to my YouTube channel. It's all up there. You'll find hundreds of videos up there for from my podcasts and my webinars and what I teach. But people don't come to you for the information. They come to you to help with the implementation. And so if you once you grasp that and really understand that then you can give away all of your best stuff there, and people are still going to pay you for it because there's things in there that they don't understand and nuances that you're not able to give just because it's just too much information overload.
Yeah, no, it's very, very true. Like holding back, and it's just the silliest thing to do. I remember years ago because what I noticed was that, because my pain point selling, which I used to do, and it came quite naturally. I just basically had a real aversion to what I call government overreach. It's just been something that's always in my DNA, like you.
Yep.
And I'm a big believer, though, in taking practical steps to solve it, not just running around screaming about it. And so I remember that when I had my big break, it wasn't because I sought my big break. I was asked to speak at a very large event. I actually said no originally, and the guy said, no, you got to do it. He goes, don't be ridiculous. You got to speak here. You're the best guy to do this topic. And so I turned up very reluctantly. And because I didn't really care, I just said, look, basically I said, my passion is to help people, basically slash their tax 100% legally and keep greedy, gold-digging scumbags and predators far from their assets so that, that bastards can't reap what they haven't sown. And that was literally my starting tagline. And when I first got up speaking about all that and going, apparently other speakers told me that, I'd been thinking, shit, this guy just stunk his speaking career, because I was pretty much just going through, showing the problems, giving away my best stuff, teaching about structures, showing where the world was going, why sovereignty was important. And then I just said to the end, look, if anyone's interested in basically having a chat more to us, just fill out a form and come along. And I thought we'll probably get a few. And we were so inundated, I was like, shit, what do I do next? Because people were booking up and I'm like, what do? I don't have the capacity. So I'm ringing up people who applied for jobs with me, who I'd said no to, and said, do you want a job? When? Like now? And I had like 2 uni students driving in to come and work for me and doing consults on the spot. And that was how I got started with all of this. And I'm still going to this day, just basically, solving problems of what I call government overreach in a practical way for people who want to listen. And most people don't want to listen to me, but those who do, I'm here to serve. That's my attitude.
And the thing is, when you start to talk in language like that, you're talking about things that people think, but they don't necessarily verbalize. When you can get into that sphere there, all of a sudden they think, this guy, he's talking about stuff there that I think, but I haven't said it. I'm too scared to say it. Once you start to get in that realm there, then all of a sudden you become a magnet.
It's true. That's a really good point. Like, it's what people are saying about barbecues or whatever else. It's like what you talk about at the barbecue. So that's kind of how I like to talk. Warwick puts, I signed up to learn about how to be a pole dancer. Cheeky bugger. I mean, this is a guy who's basically a croc catcher, you know, who catches crocodiles for fun. So he's been trying to get me to go out. So as I told him, you get in the pole, mate, I'll be out with a croc suit. Yeah, no, it's great, Nick. I love what you're saying, because really you're just getting back to basics, solving a problem, being realistic about what you're offering, solving a pain point. Because often we get into a fantasy. That's one of the problems in the modern world today. You know, we get taught live your dream, live your dream. And look, I do by and large agree. I like what Richard Branson said. He said, look, he goes, at the end of the day, you want to be making money doing something you like doing. And you almost sounded like Richard Branson when you actually said, don't get caught up with the money. Because Richard Branson said, just don't get caught up with the money. He said, it's not important. And for all you know, you could die tomorrow. And then it's a waste of time anyway. So he said, just solve problems where you're making a difference and you're contributing and giving and feeling like you're doing good by people, and make sure you're spending more, making more money than you're spending.
Yeah.
He goes, that was how he started. He actually started because he was a muso who got pissed off of all of his friends being ripped off by the big companies, record companies. So he said to him, look, how about I manage your affairs for you instead? And you guys just got to pay for my expenses. And then if I can get you a contract, we'll you know, agree on X% on royalties. It was really fair. And he said, just make sure I can cover my expenses and a bit more. That's all that matters. And he said, because his deals were so good, before he knew it, everyone was sending him, and he formed Virgin Records. And before he knew it, he had 50 staff, and he had almost all the contracts in the country. And that was how he started. That's because he solved the problem because he was pissed off about something. So I tell people, part of being sovereign is if you're pissed off about something, maybe that's a message from your higher self or from God to get out and do something to solve the problem and get rewarded for it.
And I think that, you know, chances are if you're pissed off about something, you're probably not the only one. There's probably other people that are as well too. And these days we've got some really good places to go and find out how many people are pissed off with the same thing you're pissed off with. And that thing is Facebook. So Facebook have got these fantastic things called Facebook groups. If you're not on Facebook, you don't like Facebook, if you do nothing else, go into the Facebook groups. And I say to people, there are 6 words you search for in these groups. And so you look for groups that have got interests that you know, around the problem that you're looking to address there. But there's only 6 words you search for: what, why, how, when, where, and who. So you don't search anything else. You just search those words there, because all of those words are generally questions. So what will happen is if you search in a Facebook group on say what, for instance, then it'll filter in all the posts in the group that contain that word what. And so you can go and scan through and look for questions there. And what I do is I go in there, look for the questions, pull out ones that are relevant to the particular issue that I'm trying to solve, or the issue that I'm looking at. Pull them all out, put them into a spreadsheet, and then I looked at posts there that are in that group that have got comments in it as well. So, and I have a look at the answers that people give. And so some of the answers are not very good. A lot of them are self-serving answers, but I'll pull out the answers that are given, and I'll put that into the spreadsheet as well too. And then I have a look at it and think, well, what's missing in this? What are the common elements that people are asking? So I might get, say, 20 or 30, questions in the spreadsheet. I'll look, what's the commonality in there? So I'll look for the common thread in it. What's in behind it? So what's the real issue in there that they're asking, or that they're not happy about? Let's have a look at the answers there. What are the answers people are giving? Because that's going to be reflective of the sorts of things that people are getting to try and solve this. What are the gaps and what's missing, and how can I now sort of provide information that's going to help them with that particular issue? And that there's really the start to finding out. And then you go and create a simple product around that. So when I talk about a simple product, you go to Canva and you create a checklist, a spreadsheet, a process, a framework, anything there that helps people to solve the problem. Then you go back onto Facebook, and then you go and market the shit out of that. And when you go and market that, you look at the uptake with it all. And if you can put a price tag on it, I would do something like put a low price tag on anything between $1 and $10. and try and sell it. If you can sell it, then you're onto a winner in terms of a solution. And then the next step with that is you go back and you contact those people that bought the product, and you ask them, would you mind if we jumped on a Zoom? I just want to ask you a couple of questions about, sort of to understand more about the issue. And lots of people are pretty happy to jump onto a call with you to answer that. And so when you're asking those questions, now you're getting the content for the product that you want to create. So you're understanding, what their issue is, what they're looking to solve, what have been their blocks in the past, what have they tried, what hasn't worked, what sort of worked but hasn't been good, what's been really successful. And then from that, you can actually craft a product that actually addresses all of those questions and all those issues. Now, they'll tell you everything that they need. You've probably got the answer for it. If you haven't got the answer for it, you can find the answer for it. And then you can put together something which you can then come back and then test the market again, put a price tag on it, sell it. So you might sell it as a webinar, a mini course, a course, whatever it is. And then, if people are paying you for it, then you've got a product and price. And so you can actually build out from that one thing, from those simple things. But, doing your research, Facebook's a fantastic place to do your research, to find out, the problems and issues that people really have got, because they vent on Facebook. Facebook's a venting machine. That's where people go to do it. Not so much on LinkedIn, but mainly on Facebook.
Right. That's good. I love that.
It's magic. You can create all sorts of stuff in there in niches you don't even know about. In fact, if you don't know the answer to it, like one of the things I've done in the past too is that experts are really good putting videos on Facebook to solve issues and problems. Now, there's nothing to stop you grabbing the videos that are on YouTube. So they'll have it on YouTube. So there's nothing to stop you grabbing those videos on YouTube, embedding them into a website, into a membership site, selling people into a membership site to watch those videos, which they could go and see for free on YouTube. And they pay all day long. Why do they pay? One, because you've got it all organized in a specific place where they can just go and consume the content. They don't have to look through YouTube to get the answers. But the good thing about it is you don't have to create the content. Someone else has already done it for you, and it's there for free for you to use. So there's no excuse about not being able to create a digital product, because all you have to do is find the problems, find the solutions, match them together, and then sell it to people that are looking that are in pain.
All I can say is I really hope on the 20th of July at our event, you're planning to talk about all this stuff and websites and that. Is that the idea?
That's the idea, yeah.
Good, and I hope you're going to have something good to offer at the end. I like it.
I will definitely have something to offer at the end, yes.
Mate, don't you worry. When I meet you in Queensland, I think I'll be talking to you about my website. But yeah, it's it's good when you get people around you, though, who are better than you at stuff. And the truth is, I think it's one thing I've learned, Nick. I want to be the dumbest person in my business. And I've got some really good people around me, and I've got some, there's a lot of people better than me in a lot of stuff. I've realized there's just a lot of things I'm not good at, but what I am very good at, I am very good at, like really good at. So,
and if you think about that too, why would you improve yourself in the areas you're not good at? Like I had a sales, I worked when I was selling insurance. He said, why would you spend your time trying to improve your weaknesses? Because all you ever get is strong weaknesses. He said, spend your time on your strengths so you get good strengths.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I've realized. Like I'm really, I think you just learn what you're good at and what you're not good at doing. And it's interesting. I was saying this to someone, the best two relationships I ever had were with women who got me and knew that, there were a lot of flaws of getting me as a partner, but they saw the things they liked about me, but I was very loyal, very strong, very, kept my word to them. But then at the same time, they, didn't get a practical guy because I'm not very practical. And, there were just a lot of things about me that were very annoying, because I'd get very, off in my own world. But
so let's just go back to the start of the conversation where as we get older, we don't give a shit what people think. Like when we're younger, like in our 20s, we try and hide all the stuff and think that we're sort of bulletproof and, we know everything. But the older we get, it's like, mate, this is what you get. It's like it comes with all the flaws and everything. So I don't really sort of care about covering it up or not.
Yeah, exactly. You just realize that, a lot of people can read you anyway when you're being inauthentic most of the time. And yeah, I mean, what people think of you is really none of my business. That's a great
Yeah.
quote. I want to.
And things that you're not good at, just get rid of it. Like one of the things I'm not really good at is returning phone calls from messages that are left on my phone. So they'll sit there for days and days. So you know how I solved that?
How?
I just turned off the messages, so no one can leave a message on for me. So if they want to get in touch with me, they've got to use a method there that they can reach me that I can respond to. So I get messages by text message, which is great because I can read it. I can be in a meeting or whatever. I can read the text message and I can respond there, or I can decide when to respond. I don't have to worry about picking up the phone to dial through to listen to the message, or they'll send me an email. But generally, they'll come through in a means of communication that I'm happy to communicate with. And that way I'm not letting people down. So people used to get pissed off and let down that I wouldn't return their phone calls. Well, now they can't because they can't leave a message.
God, that's smart. I like it. Yeah, well, you and I are a bit similar. Well, no, look, it's been great. Look, thank you so much, Nik. And any final words for anyone about, the event and what you'll be sharing on before I just go through and share with people more about our event that's coming up on the 20th about sovereignty and knowing your lawful rights?
Well, yeah, well, certainly what I'll be sharing are some quite practical examples about, what you can do for, in business to keep control, keep charge. And I think, the key message for me, and this is what's been, I suppose, my mantra through the whole time that I've been here in Australia. In fact, probably since 98. 98 was the time that I decided that I wasn't going to work for anyone else anymore. So I'm virtually unemployable now. Because I got a mind of my own and I speak it. That has a problem with some employers. But it's about how do you create a lifestyle that you want that fits your values, where you're not having to compromise on major things in your life. And so, money's not everything, but money helps. But it's about, if you do the things where you're solving problems, then the money's going to come anyway. And if you can get people saying things in their mind, like with your marketing, for instance, if they're saying things like, "Oh, that's exactly like me," and if you're starting to describe things that people are saying in their heads that they haven't voiced out loud, then you're on a winning track there. And once you start getting people that come to you to say, how much is it going to cost me, or how do I pay you to solve this problem for me, then that's a much better place to come from than you having to go and pitch and sell. So, I like that sort of stuff, and the more I can teach around that there, and that's part of what I'll be teaching on that session.
Love it. Nah, love it. Sounds good. And I'm going to be roping you in briefly for a quick panel on lawful rights and sovereignty, which you, me, Trent, and that will do just for a bit of fun.
I'm going to enjoy that.
Oh, mate, we'll have a bit of a rant. So, no, well, thank you, Nik. I'm just going to let everyone know about the event. Any questions that people have got of Nik?
I was wondering, is the info Australian based or New Zealand? It's global based. I actually live in Australia, so I'm not in New Zealand, but all the information I share it applies anywhere in the world.
Well, what I'm going to do is just quickly show everyone the event. So this is the event happening, which we'll put a link in the chat. But this is basically the fast tracking your journey. So it's about knowing your lawful rights. And we're going to be covering a bit of everything. There's going to be myself, there's going to be Nik, there's going to be Trent Trapman, who you saw before, who's going to be talking about the sovereign strategy, entrepreneur, why sovereignty in the mind. He's a mental health specialist as well, who works in that field. And then Stephen Pettit, who I know, Nik, you'll love him. Stephen is, he calls himself the fat capitalist. He's a very big guy who just owns who he is. He teaches about Plan B and how to move offshore and set up offshore and do all that, just to understand the offshore world. And then yours truly, I'll be speaking about sovereignty and really how to be a Neo and Morpheus, which means you live outside the matrix, but be in the matrix. So between all of us, and Nik, of course, you've already heard what he's going to be doing. So we've just put the registration link in there. So basically, yes, just give us a why or raise your hand if you're planning to come to this event. I know quite a few of you are already, you've told me. Yep, quite a few of you. So yeah, you do not want to miss this event. I mean, we're really privileged to have guys like Nik and Trent and various others coming along, not guys that are easily around for this kind of stuff. This is just our YouTube channel. So if you want to watch Nik's one about understanding your lawful rights last week, where Nik and I had a good laugh and a good rant together and talked about courts and how we address matters and how we push back, you know, but in a peaceful way, you can watch that. And being like Nik, you know, I've got lots and lots of content. I've got this on here. I've got a Escaping the Matrix. I've got the Director's ID, knowing your common law, you know, rights, that kind of stuff, you know, freeing yourself from corrupt governments, that kind of stuff. So there's plenty of stuff to keep you well and truly mischief on the Global Wealth Club YouTube channel. So between Nik and my YouTube channel, anyone who's got insomnia, you now have a solution and a guaranteed cure. And you can cancel your Netflix. And oh yes, in terms of the event, before I forget, it's $127 early bird. The early bird is only available for a short time. It's normally $197. But if you're a member, like your paid member, then it's going to be free. You just send us an email. So, okay, any final questions or comments before we go? Well, Nik, thank you for coming anyway. I appreciate you giving up your time and looking forward to seeing you next week, actually, over in Queensland, your side of the world. First time I've flown since COVID domestically. So,
Oh, you'll be ahead of me. I haven't hopped on a plane since I think 2019. No, 2020. Yeah, 2020.
yeah, no, I've flown internationally a few times, but not domestically. So there you go.
There you go. Oh well, I'll have to catch a plane to Byron then, or to Ballina.
You will. Thank you, Nik. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, see you, man.